Sure we're on.
And there we are. Can you see us now, everybody?
Happy Tuesday again.
And it's Mel.
And Mel.
And we have a special guest with us today. Todd with Allflex is here, and he is going to be talking about EID tags.
And you guys know the drill. Please make sure that you leave any questions that you have for Todd in the comments or say hello. Let us know you're here, because at the end of this segment, we will be giving away 2 Allflex repeater syringes to 2 lucky commenters. So make sure you get those questions in. Hi, Crystal. Hi, Ashley. Welcome.
Welcome back.
We also want to mention that right now we have a promotion going on, $15 off, $150 Allflex purchase with this code. Now 15 off. You have to have the code to get that. Great deal. Make sure you take advantage of that. Okay, so with that, we're going to turn it over to Todd, and we're going to start off with a question. Todd, why choose an 840 official tag versus a 982 commercial tag? What is the difference?
Well, the difference besides the numbering is actually no difference. The original 982, or what we would call a 900 series tag, have been utilized and probably employed since the mid 80s, kind of mainstream, starting with the dairy industry. As of about 2003, those that remember the elusive Christmas cow of December 23rd, prompted the USDA to put in place a trackable type animal tag. The 900 series tags aren't tracked from our facility or any manufacturing facility to the end user. The 840 tags, and we can get into this maybe a little more in depth as we go, but they require a premises ID. So we as a manufacturer can actually track those particular 840 RFIDs to, let's say, a farm or a dairy that are going to utilize those tags at ground level.
Okay. Can you explain the individual numeric sequencing for unique ID per animal?
You know, we think of it either the 900 series or the 840 series as similar to your and my Social Security number. It's a number that's unique to that tag, and then once applied to an animal, it is unique to that animal in and of itself, and it's never replicated anywhere in the world as far as that goes. So the numbering sequence itself really doesn't mean anything. It is a long 15-digit number stream, but it doesn't, besides the 840, which is actually the USA country code, where we see 124 prefix tags in Canada. We only need to be concerned as U.S. livestock producers in the utilization of the 840 or USA country code tags. But the other 12 digits really mean nothing. They're just a unique number that is, like I said again, unique to that tag and that animal that it's applied to.
Okay, we have a question from Heather here. We have a question from Heather, and let me see if I can pop that up there for you. Are the 840 metal clips in the ears?
Those are actually not 840s. That particular, the metal bright tags, as they call them, which I believe the USDA is maybe looking at phasing out here over the next 2 to 3 years, perhaps. And we'll touch on that here a little bit more, but the metal bright tags utilize what's called a NUS, and it's an acronym. It's NUES, and it's an acronym for National Uniform Ear Tagging System. Now, those tags are made and administered, started off for disease surveillance in livestock, and were supposed to be applied to by a licensed veterinarian. Those particular NUS tags have a 2-digit state code, a 3-digit alpha code, and a 4-digit management number. And those numbers are administered and monitored closely by each individual state's Department of Agriculture. So they're not 840 tags, albeit unique, because of the state code, the 3-digit and the 3-digit alpha and the 4-digit management number. But they're not considered an 840 tag, although they are an official tag.
Here's another question. In what scenarios should you choose HDX half duplex EID tags versus FDX full duplex EID tags? And what is the difference?
Let's start with what is the difference. I like to use the analogy that when you read a half duplex tag, it is like, let's say you and I talking on a CB radio. So I have to push to send my message, and I have to let off the button and wait for you to reply. And that's the manner in which the reader interrogates a half duplex tag to get the number off it. Likewise, the full duplex tag is like you and I talking on the phone. We can talk over each other. It's a constant read, send, read, send. So it's more let's call it a reflective type read. Advantages to the full duplex over a half duplex is slightly faster read range because of that. Instead of the push to talk, tag releases its energy through a little capacitor inside of it. It's in milliseconds, and it's negligible for most people to tell. If you were to use a wand and scan a full duplex tag over to a half duplex tag back and forth, you would physically not tell any difference in the read speed. Now, the other main difference between a full duplex and a half duplex, each one of those tags have a little wire bobbin or antenna in them. Full duplex tags utilize about 150 feet of tiny copper wire, about the size of a strand of your hair, let's say. Whereas the half duplex tags utilize 300 feet, maybe 320 feet. So you've got twice the amount of wire, which increases your antenna, let's say. So the distance from the reader to a half duplex tag, you'll get a greater distance read. You'll also get, I'm going to say it probably longevity-wise, the full duplex and half duplex, they should last the life of that animal, as long as that animal retains those tags. The other big thing with a half duplex, and it's the main reason why the dairy industry has really hung its hat on the use of half duplex, is it works in that highly metallic environment. Parlors, you got a lot of galvanized steel, a lot of metal pins, headlocks in the tie stall, or in the main barn. It's a lot easier for the reader to send that signal, wait for the capacitor to let loose, and send that number back. You get, with this reflective read send with a full duplex, a lot of metal will tend to interfere with that and cause a false read or a no read, especially if a full duplex is, let's say, up against the side of a hay feeder, and a producer goes up to try and read it, it may not read. And he might think his tag is bad, when in all actuality, it's just interference from metal. So half duplex works very good around highly metallic environments. So that's kind of the two big differences. I think we're seeing probably more sales of half duplex than full duplex. Cow-calf herds will utilize, let's say, a half duplex on a lot of their foundation animals, their mama cows, their breeding stock, their bulls, and seed stock guys really like the half duplex tags. So that's kind of your main difference.
Okay, here is a question from Sue. Do you know if all tags will have to be changed out and up to date to these newer tags as tracking advances?
There was a time when we moved from 900 series tags to 840 tags. There was a certain amount of time then that the 900 series tags were grandfathered in as part of official. If they could get the veterinarian involved and sign off, they could actually have, I'm not going to say a certificate of vet inspection necessarily, but a third party verify that this particular animal had a 982 tag and it was at this particular premises, let's say. Okay, since we never tracked those 900 series tags to him in the first place. So if that could be verified, we had a lot of 900 series tags that were grandfathered in as part of the 840, because a lot of guys didn't want to reinvest, cut these tags out that work perfectly fine, just to use an 840 tag. Moving forward, I guess I'm trying to read into the question a little bit, because they did not mention if they're using metal clip tags and moving those to RFID. Maybe they could clarify that question a little more. But I would think, for the sake of producers not having to go out and reinvent and spend all kinds of money on brand new ear tags and go out and cut tags out and reapply, there may be a point in time where a certain number of these tags would be grandfathered in, at least the numbering. But that's my opinion. I don't know for sure.
Okay. Does the 840 portion of the tag ID number signify that the animal was born in the USA? Can they only be used in the USA?
That is the rule. The APHIS rule for 840 tag use is that animal should have been born, bred in the USA and carry an 840 tag. We get into some instances where we get guys that want to buy 840 tags. They use a premises ID, let's say, that's in North Dakota, but they want the tags shipped to Saskatoon, Canada. That's something we cannot do as a company. Not to say that maybe some guys do that, but we have to sell them within the U.S. and they can only be shipped within the U.S. If a North Dakota premises is used to place an order for 840 tags, the tags need to ship to somewhere in North Dakota. It used to be they had to ship to the exact address that the premises ID validated, but they kind of lightened up on that, because you've got some of these big cattle operations that have multiple parcels of land or multiple farms, but they have one main office that they have their premises registered to, but they may want those tags shipped 300 miles from there, and that's fine. But yes, primarily 840 tags, USA only, USA born animals. Once they have an 840 in them, then they can go to Canada, they can go to Mexico, they can go wherever they want to do. And especially from state to state, it makes movement a lot easier.
Under what scenarios are EID tags typically required?
Well, besides feeder cattle being exempt because they move in groups, let's talk maybe multi-species here as well. So we'll talk about sheep and scrapie tags. The scrapie program, which was another disease surveillance program, and it's administered and monitored by APHIS. We've had sheep scrapie tags for a number of years, and that qualifies as that animal's official ID. On the porcine side, that's being so vertically integrated, the porcine industry typically move those animals in large groups. So there's really no requirement for individual 840 tags for swine. Now, when it comes to market sows and boars that enter the food production system, there is what's called a premises ID tag. And you got to keep in mind that these are strictly for use on cull sows and boars. They are not an 840 individual ID tag. They're strictly a tag that has maybe a management number, but it has that swine producer's premises ID. So in the cases it moves from the farm where it was raised and maybe had a certain number of litter of pigs, and it moves into the food production system. If there was any question, let's say a drug residue problem or something that is found at the pork processing plant, they can utilize that premises ID to go back to that farm and say, hey, what's going on with this? Do we need to test more of your animals or whatever? But for so long, the swine industry didn't have a individual way of tracking livestock. And I think the food processors saw the value in being able to at least track these animals back to the farm of origin or where they were farrowing. So you get into cattle now, the ground is still shifting under our feet, let's say, and it has here for a couple of years. They're looking at making 840 tags mandatory and looking at moving away from the metal noose tags. Also looking at moving away from the, I'll call it a visual only panel tag, which myself and my competitors, we all manufacture those as well. But it's a non-electronic 840 tag. We just stamp 840 on a panel tag. I don't know if I've got one here I can show you, but yeah. For instance, the 840 number across the top here, this one actually, if you take the RFID off the top, this is an all-in-one tag. But this is an idea of a system that, started out to be kind of neat, but it was in an inexpensive way for producers to hang a cheap plastic tag with an 840 number on it without having to spend that, that $2.15 for an RFID. It was fine for the producer, but every other segment that animal passed through, let's say a stocker backgrounder or a farmer feeder, ultimately into a feedlot and into the packing house, these tags had to be read manually and written down because there's no electronic component to it. It was just an 840 number, okay? So they're also looking at doing away with the visual 840s and moving forward with the small RFID buttons, the electronic format only. So that answer that question?
Okay, here is another one for you. To get started with EID, do I need a stick reader?
I always say that about 100 animals would be the cutoff. If you got 100 or less, you can manage with what we call the Big Chief tablet and the number 2 pencil if you want. It's a little labor intensive, and you're prone to errors. And if you're half as dyslexic as I am, you'll screw half that stuff up anyway. So that the reader speeds the process, eliminates human error or any transposition of numbers. Keep in mind that 840 number is 15 digits long, and you'll get some numbers that are 11516. That's one I would mess up. The reader never fails. The reader never lies. So I'll tell you this: the Allflex website has a link on the homepage, and it says "Find my EID numbers." So every bag of tags that a producer calls Valley Vet and orders these tags, they show up at his door. That bag of tags will have a little label on it. And at the bottom of that label is a bag code. He can go to the Allflex website, enter the bag code, and he can retrieve all of his RFIDs electronically without having to write them down. And he can print that off, put it on a clipboard, grab his pencil, and go out and apply those tags. And then he can write down his visual number, so he has some correlation from the electronic to his visual tag, and any other characteristics he wants to collect on that animal. Bring it back in the house, open that Excel spreadsheet that he made a copy of, and enter all his data there. Like see where I say the 100 critters is about the cutoff. And you look at the readers now. It used to be you had to spend $1,500 for a nice stick reader. We now have that LPR, the livestock pocket reader. I got one of them around here somewhere. This little gizmo fits in your pocket, and they say pocket size, and it is. It's got one button on it, lights up, you read tags. The neat thing about this, it can be paired with your cell phone, your tablet, your PC, and it will connect to pretty much any herd management software that accommodates for an RFID. The software will know what to do with the signal from this reader via Bluetooth once a tag is read. And that puts it right in the cell it's supposed to go. Allflex also makes a program called an E-List, and it's on the App Store and the Google Play Store. It's just Allflex, E-L-I-S-T. It's a free download. It's a real quick, I call it a quick down and dirty shoot side data collection program. You can scan a tag. You can manually punch in your visual tag. Maybe you want to do breed, sex, date. Maybe you're doing weaning, so you put a wean date in there. Maybe a wean weight. Save it as a CSV file and email it to yourself right from your phone. You go in the house at night and you download it all into an Excel spreadsheet. So we've kind of simplified the data collection part of it. The E-List is not herd management software, though. It does no calculations. It simply saves a data set and enables you to import it into your individual cattle handling or management software. So,
How close does the stick reader need to be to the tag to get an accurate read?
We can throw the word accurate out because it's always right. Okay, so it doesn't mess up. Here, let me demonstrate it for you. And I've got two readers here. I've got the LPR. I've got a full duplex, 840 tag, I believe. Yes. Here's my reader. And I'm pulling that tag away. I'm about that far away, about a foot. That's a full duplex tag. Okay. Here's a half duplex tag. The way you can tell a half duplex is it has a little hump along the side. If you guys can see that. Under the little hump is a little capacitor, and that's what stores the energy that's sent from the reader. Then once that capacitor reaches a threshold point, it sends a number back to the reader, but it does it in milliseconds. That's why I see you can't tell a difference between a half and a full duplex. So here's our, I should back in. About the same, about a foot with this reader. Keep in mind, the size of the antenna in the device itself will be the determining factor how far it will read. Okay. Now you take one like this. It's got a lot bigger antenna on the end of it. This is the AWR 300. So fire that one up. Hopefully my battery's charged. I don't know if you can see how we do this here.
Make this easier.
Just maybe a little more than a foot there.
You're not.
Maybe 15 inches or so. But the larger the antenna, the longer the read range. Okay. Now we also do a lot of commercial panel readers that are used in a let's say a packing house or a feed yard, and they're automated and don't require anybody to stand there and push a button. They just walk by these panels. Well, the panel, by virtue of its size being 2 by 4 feet, will read upwards of 5 to 6 feet away. Okay, so bigger the antenna, longer the read range. Albeit these are what's considered low frequency RFID tags, and there are some high frequency products out there. But right now, for mainly moving forward here, and I'd say all the infrastructure that's in place all utilize the low frequency half duplex and full duplex.
How can I use EID tags to their maximum efficiency on farms?
On farm, well, it used to be You just put the RFID in the calf's ear, you read it, and then maybe you had to handwrite the visual tag that was in that calf. We have morphed these tag sets into an RFID with a panel tag of, let's say, multiple sizes, either single or double. The dairies really like the double match pair sets where it's 2 visual tags and an RFID. And as of late, we're now marketing that with the tissue sampling unit. And that's I think most everybody has seen them or used them. That is a tissue sample tube, this one right up here. It goes in a separate applicator, takes the tissue from the ear. Purebred beef guys really like it because they can run a full genomic test for homozygous. They can run parentage. It's far and wide what the purebred guys can do. It can also be used for BVD and PI, persistently infected calves, for a quick test to see if you've got a rampant problem in your herd. But it's something that is something new. I think the TSUs came out 7 or 8 years ago, and we sold them by themselves. And a lot of the breed associations got on board with it because it's simpler to take a tissue punch from the ear than it is to pull hair and hope you get 75 or 80 follicles. And it's way less messy than a blood card. And that's where you actually pierce the skin and soak a piece of paper with blood to submit for DNA. So full utilization, I mean, sky's the limit. We've also got our sister company, Allflex Livestock Monitoring, that actually is a rumination monitoring ear tag that monitors herd health. And it can tell when an animal's getting sick long before the cowboy or the herdsman can visually see that animal is having issues. They can usually catch it a day or two before, but they do that by rumination patterns, changes in movement, feed intake, and that kind of thing. So, and it's kind of the main reason we moved to our naming convention of Allflex Livestock Intelligence. You know, we want to make the animals smarter and be able to communicate with us, and through the use of the RFID and really good data software and all the electronics, the animal monitoring system. It's just, we've come leaps and bounds, at least in the 15 years that I've been with Allflex.
Deborah and Sue have a question, and they ask, is there anything you can do, placement, tag type, to help prevent small-eared sheep and or goats from ripping their tags out?
Placement is critical in any species. I got a cow ear. I don't have a sheep or goat ear, but two things sheep and goat are famous for is necrosis. Anybody that's experienced necrosis with 4-H tags or even just sheep and goat scrapey tags, it's a mess. You got to feel sorry for those animals. Those ears get kind of pussy and they're scabbed over and they look like crap, you know. My biggest advice I could give anybody across any species group is to use antiseptic on the males. What I would do is dump all my male pins. You guys know what male pins are. That's the male portion of a 2-piece tag. So I'll take a bag of these and I'll dump them in a paint tray with some kind of antiseptic diluted with water, and just let them sit there. Pull them out, slip them on your applicator, and apply the tag. 9 times out of 10, that will mitigate any necrosis in any animal, because you'll see it in swine, you'll see it in calves, you'll see it in mature cows. Antiseptic is key. A clean ear helps, You don't want, really filthy or dirty ears that might have some bacteria or something. They're all susceptible to it, but any way you can do to mitigate it is the way to go. But sheep and goat tags, again, I got my rubber ear. So, tag placement, for the most part, physiologically, the ears don't vary much. Most of them have at least one or two cartilage ribs that run through. This would be a bovine left ear, let's say, and it shows that RFID about little tick closer to halfway, beyond halfway through the ear, closer to the head, and the visual tag right outside of that. Sheep and goat visual tags, I'd say anywhere from here to maybe halfway, slightly and a little further. You get into that thicker part of the ear, they're a little tougher to apply. But the thing to remember is keep them away from the outer third of the ear, where they're going to be more susceptible to get caught, ripped out. You'll have a worse mess that way.
All right, we have some questions regarding cattle show requirements.
Mm-hmm.
How can I find my states or specific show requirements for tagging cattle for a show?
Well, I worked the American Royal Show for a number of years, and I worked with the swine department. And up until they made it a non-terminal show, and I worked close with the state vet there in Missouri, and they would like, besides a certificate of vet inspection, they would like an official form of ID on those animals that are coming into their facility. I mean, by the time you fill up a show barn with cattle or sheep and goats, swine, it's a melting pot of critters that have come from all over. So that's why, besides the official tag, and I'll tell you right here, most of the national shows, the Nile show, the American Royal, the NSR, National Swine Registry shows, all require a certificate of vet inspection along with a form of electronic ID on that animal. And it's only for the safety of everybody that comes. You don't want one stray animal coming in there that you don't know has some disease, and pretty soon you've got a barn full of infected critters, and you send them home where they go out and they reinfect their herds or whatever if they're commingled. So it was a good move for the national shows to do that. Now, if you're talking state fair, call your state fair or the state 4-H office, and they'll give you the requirements that's needed to come on to state fair grounds.
All right. Is there a standardized tag that I can defer to at shows because it's approved for any cattle show?
Good old 840 button. The half duplex or the full duplex. Easiest way to tell a half duplex 840 is it's white. And this is probably one of our best tags on the market, is this one here. The yellow one is the full duplex. Just this with the male pin, snap it in that animal and forget it. Retention is really good with these RFIDs if you get them put in where they're supposed to go. Okay. You'll see less than 0.5% loss if you do that, and always use antiseptic. That 840 tag will get you into any national show, onto any grounds. Keep in mind, certificate of vet inspection, or an ICVI, an electronic version of it, and you can go anywhere in the U.S. with those animals without question.
Right now, some shows allow visual tags printed with 840 numbers and don't require an 840 EID tag. When will this change?
About the time they do away with the metal bright tags, the noose tags, they'll probably look at sunsetting over time the visual only 840 tags. I think they want just for speed of commerce and ease of readability as these animals move through the food production different segments. Visual tags just slow things down because it requires human intervention, and like I said, you're dyslexic. It doesn't work. It's too many numbers to write down. So I think they'll be looking at that. Let's give it a couple years for the dust to settle. I know on October 1st was the last, or October 5th, I'm sorry, was the last day to submit public comments to APHIS about the utilization of RFIDs exclusively for cattle and bison as the official form of ID. So once they roll through this and they determine their public comments and they get the pros and cons all worked out and they decide they're going to move that direction, then we'll see the visual onlys go away. We'll see the metal noose tags go away, but not until that time probably. Could be a couple years.
Well, that is all we have for questions. Is there anything else that you would like to add?
I had a couple of no, I think you girls covered it. Covered it pretty good.
All right.
I have nothing further to add unless you guys do.
We do not know about tags like you do, so I don't think we're going to add anything to that. But we want to thank you so much for coming on here and answering all of our questions today. Very welcome. You guys do a great job, and you're a great partner for us, and we love to help out when we can. So I'd love to be back. Okay. All right. With that, we are going to draw
A couple winners.
our winners for the syringes. We have two. Melanie.
All right. The first winner is Rose Johnson. Congratulations, Rose.
All right.
Congratulations, Rose.
The second winner is Vicky Jazeev. I might not pronounce that right, but you won.
All right.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Okay, we have a few more things to talk to you about real quick. Don't forget the $15 off Allflex purchase of $150, and don't forget that code, now 15 off. You will need that to get that $15. And we have a little surprise actually. We are going to be giving away 2 more of these syringes tomorrow live.
Make sure you comment, ask your questions still, tag your friends,
Share the video.
That will all get you in for the extra 2 drawings.
So tune in tomorrow and see who else wins the other 2 syringes. And one last thing, don't forget about our Light Up October giveaway going on now. We will have 22 winners, and the deadline is October 30th to sign up for
There's
that.
tons of prizes for everybody in there, so get signed up for that. So,
Okay, I think that's all. So thank you again, Todd, very much for joining us today.
thank you everybody for being so patient when we were trying to get this thing going too, and thanks for tuning in. So, again, we'll be back on here tomorrow to share the extra winners, and we'll see you then. Thank you so much.
Bye.